Alright. So if you have a piece that you just cut off, maybe a mistake, keep that little patch of clay on there. You don't need to take that off. Put this on here, slide it back and forth. Now the difference between a cup and a bowl is just the speed and your rate of rise. As the clay goes wider and wider, you're going to go slower and slower. Not only slower in this speed because your lips can be moving really quickly, but also on your rise. So I already showed you one way of centering. When you have a little bit more clay, your centering is going to change a little bit. One hand right here, you're going to kind of feed that clay, and you're going to do what's called coning. Bring that clay up. This is also another form of wedging. Now when you put this clay back down, you want to kind of push it in and down, kind of like at a kind of an S. And hold it there. Kind of push that clay down. Kind of come back in here and make sure it has a nice round dome. Now when you have more clay, you can also kind of open it up, start it with your thumbs. A lot of times I'll kind of come back into this position again. If your clay is really stiff and your fingers aren't strong enough, you can always open up like this. And sometimes you can take your thumb and push down like that. I prefer this way. I seem like I have more control. You go down. Again, until you get used to it, stop your wheel. Grab your needle tool, push it all the way down to the bat, and check your depth. It's very important because you're going to make something really nice and realize that your bottom's too thin or too thick. We're going to open up. Come back in there and compress. Really compress that bottom. Bowls have a tendency to crack. After every step, don't forget to wet the clay. Clay should always be shiny. If clay's not shiny, you're going to have surface friction. So the first pull, fingers here, thumb down, same as in the cylinder. Gently squeeze and guide. Now with a bowl, the clay naturally wants to go out. You have centrifugal force here. Don't push it out too early, otherwise your bowl is going to collapse. So here I just kind of a wide cylinder. I'm going to wet the clay again. Just like a cylinder, you really got to squeeze that clay, get underneath it, push from the inside, and let it go out. So after the first pull, the second pull is where I'm really going to get some nice shape. Push that clay out there. I'm going to slowly lift this up. As I get to the top, I'm going to gently let go and compress. Don't let your lip get too thin too early. Because if we stress this clay out anymore, this lip's going to get thinner and thinner. Make sure the clay is nice and wet. A lot of times I'll hold my hand here and I'll drop some water in there. Now this last one, I'm going to slow down the wheel just a little bit. Take your foot off the pedal. This is where we're going to get my nice bowl shape. And remember, this clay is spinning a lot faster than the bottom because they're wider. It's wider. So now that clay is mostly thrown, I don't have a whole lot of clay down here at the bottom, but we're going to get a nice shape to this. So I'm slowly going to push that clay out, letting the clay go all the way around before I rise. Otherwise you can end up with a thick and thin and a little bit of a wobble. Make sure you get rid of that water in the inside. Compress the lip. Now it's up to you what kind of shaped bowl you want to create. A lot of the shaping is also going to be determined in the throwing. Sometimes I'll come in here, I'll just make a nice little lip here. A good chili bowl. Make sure that lip is level, nice and smooth. And make sure your inside looks really nice and clean. Your shaping tool here, There's a little extra clay right there. We're gonna get rid of that. Come back in here and just lift this up. Now with a bowl, if you let it stiffen up for about a half hour, you can take it off pretty easily. But if you have the luxury of having several bats, a lot of times I'll just keep the bowl in there on the bat, because it's pushing it off here can distort it a little bit. Oh. This is a nice tool also to lift your bat off. You don't have to kill your fingertips. We're going to use the tap to center method on this as well. Let the clay just slide on your fingers. Use your hand down here. You want to hold it up as if you're receiving change. And once you start getting this technique, it'll be a lot easier. Make sure your clay is not too wet, not too dry. Hold your hand, put your thumb down if you can, secure that, because once it moves, you have to start the process over again. Now for a bigger piece, you can use a bigger tool. I'm going to use a larger loop tool to begin with. Again, I'm going to start on this edge, kind of clean this up. Down here, create this foot. I like to hold my finger here, my thumb, and I kind of get underneath there with that tool, so I can kind of really define that foot. We're going to make the interior now. You start, make your line first. Go back in there and burnish the foot. A lot of times I'll come back in with a metal rib and just kind of get rid of those trimming marks. Again, in my opinion, the foot should be about as wide as the thickness of the lip.